Hey guys, coming at you today with a super simple, delicious springtime dessert, a Keto Lemon Cheesecake. So let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks for joining me. My name's Alicia and I'm a sous chef with a sweet tooth. And here we make delicious keto pastries, many from my time as a pastry chef. And my goal is to make the best keto desserts possible. If you enjoy this content, please consider hitting the subscribe button down there, hitting the thumbs up, sharing with your friends. It all helps the channel grow, and I'd really appreciate it. Today, we are making some lemon cheesecake, and of course, with some extra frills because, I'm a little extra. But the main recipe for a keto cheesecake is super simple. And you can do a lot of different alterations to this. Like today, I'm using these high-key vanilla shortbread cookies as my cheesecake base. But I have many recipes on my channel for cheesecakes, and they almost all have different crusts that I use. You can easily use just ground up nuts. You can use almond flour. There's a lot of different choices. Or you can even go no crust at all. You're going to have to grease it really well if you're putting it into like a springform pan. You don't have to grease it for the crust because there's just so much butter in it. It's going to come out of the pan. But if you're going to do crustless, you definitely got to grease your pan. So I have a 9-inch springform pan here. I have about 2 cups of these cookies, but I was a little shy of 2 cups. This is 6 tablespoons of butter, and we just want like a sandy consistency, enough to be able to smush it into this and make a crust. I used 3 bags to get about 1 3/4 cups, and I just crushed them up in here, dumped them in, and I crushed up any like bigger pieces I had. We're just gonna dump some of this in here. I'm not gonna do all. There's also butter in the cookies, so they're not like a regular graham cracker that doesn't have butter in it, or almond flour. You can also just do 2 cups of almond flour and just add a little bit of monk fruit sweetener, and that would be delicious too. That looks good. I already have my oven preheated to 325, and I have my 2 blocks of cream cheese chilling in the front of my oven on the stovetop to get nice and soft to make this easy for us. Dump into the pan. Yeah, I definitely didn't need all that butter. Probably have 1.5 tablespoons left here. You just want it to look like wet sand. I usually just use my hands here, pat it into a crust. Oh, this recipe also, I did not actually make this yet. I made the original version, which was a non-keto version at work, and it came out perfect. So I have that linked below. If you want to make just a regular non-keto lemon cheesecake, I definitely recommend that recipe. It didn't crack. It was super creamy and delicious. Well, I didn't taste it. Everyone at work said it was good. But it made me want to make a keto version. Okay, that crust looks nice and even to me, so I'm going to pop this into the oven for 10 minutes. You just want it to start getting a little bit golden brown. I got all my ingredients here. You just need 2 packages of Philadelphia cream cheese, or whatever cream cheese you prefer, but full fat is best for cheesecakes. Cup of full fat sour cream, 1/2 cup of granular monkfruit sweetener, but you can use whatever kind of keto sweetener you like, 2 eggs at room temperature, and a lemon. Now, I didn't pre-zest my lemon because I wanted to show you guys how to do so. This is the best tool, a microplane. It has come in such handy for so many things. But to zest a lemon, you just take it in the palm of your hand and you do 1 swipe like that. And you don't want to go any further than the white there. So you just go around and keep turning your lemon. And you get nice stripes off of it, and you don't waste any. You want to get about 1.5 tablespoons of zest. And then the lemon juice is up to you how much you want to use. If you like it really lemony, use a little bit extra. But per tablespoon of lemon juice is a carb. So keep that in mind. I'm going to do 2 for this. Then if you just have any spots that have a little bit of yellow left, you just take it and go around. But you don't want that white part because that is bitter. Make sure you clean off the back of your microplane because all the zest gets stuck back there. I think I'm going to do another lemon's worth too. Now, if your lemons aren't very juicy or ripe, you can always put them in the microwave for a couple of seconds to get them more juicy, or you can roll them on your counter and that'll release more juice. Gonna do a different bowl so that we can measure it out so that we don't have extra carbs we don't want. Just do it over my hand just to maybe catch any seeds that may come out, but you can also just do it upside down and you can usually keep most of the seeds out. Let's see if we got 2 tablespoons. Not quite. I guess we do need more. Now, the reason I chose this recipe when I was at work was because I liked her method of making the cheesecake. I had completely forgotten about this, and it's using a food processor. And this is what I used to do at my first pastry job, and I completely forgot that it's like the best way to make a cheesecake because it's fast and it mixes up all your stuff really well. This is obviously optional. If you don't have a food processor, you can just use a hand mixer. I did that with all my other cheesecake recipes that I've made on my channel, but this made it really smooth and creamy. And I was thinking about it, that's like the best method for our cheesecakes because our monk fruit sweetener doesn't dissolve like regular sugar does, and you want to beat it with a beater for a long period of time. Putting it into a food processor makes the work a lot easier for you. So basically you just add in your cream cheese and sugar and blend until like super creamy and there's no lumps at all left. Make sure it all gets in there. Our crust is almost done. Just let it go. Might need to plug it in first. I gave our crust 2 more minutes because our crust has so much butter in it, it needs a little bit longer to crisp up. If your cream cheese is softened, this is not going to take long at all. That looks nice and smooth. Gonna add in our 1 cup of sour cream. Blitz that for a second. Okay, I pulled our crust out of the oven. It's just getting golden brown around the edges. It's a little loose in the middle, so this has to cool completely before we can put the filling into it. Let's see how creamy this is already. Well, I love this method for our keto cheesecake. Now we're gonna add 1 egg at a time. These are also room temperature. It just makes it easier if everything is room temperature. It's so quick. Oh, it's almost done. Make sure you scrape the sides still because some stuff does get stuck there usually. And then just add your lemon. Make sure all your zest gets in there. Batter is done. Nice and smooth. Gotta grab our cooled crust. At least you don't want it mushy in the middle. When it first came out, it was a little mushy. Now it should be fine to pour our batter over the top. For a 1/16 of this, it is 3.5 grams of net carbs with no extra frills on top of it, which of course I had to make some, so I'll be running through that real quick because I had to make them a day in advance. Once we pop this in the oven, it's so smooth, you don't even have to smooth the top out or anything. This is gonna go into the oven and bake. For her instructions were 20 to 30 minutes, and I did this at work. I believe I did bake it for about 30 minutes, but it all depends on your oven. So here, like I said, I haven't made this before, so it's gonna be kind of a test. So I'm gonna start with 20 minutes, but you want it set around the edges and only a couple inches in the middle, a little bit jiggly. So I'm gonna pop this in the oven and I'll be back to show you what I made for the decorations on top. So I wanted to try my hand at some candied lemon twists. And this is something I've done in the past at my other pastry jobs. We actually just did the circles, like we left it like this, and we dried it in the oven until it was like a chip. But this is more of just a candied lemon circle, but I cut them about 1/8 of an inch thick, and then I cut a little slit in them. And then you just put them into basically a simple syrup, which I did a cup of allulose and a cup of water. And you just simmer them low for about 20 minutes and you flip every once in a while, and you take them out when they're translucent. And then when they came out, because I wanted to make twists for the top of our cheesecake, I twisted them and let them dry overnight, so they're like a little candied lemon twist. These are not bitter, you can eat the rind and everything. It's nice and sweet. But that's going to be for decorating our cheesecake. And then I wanted a little bit of color in the cheesecake, so there's macerated strawberries. I diced them up into really small pieces, sprinkled them with a little granular monkfruit sweetener, and I just did a splash of lemon juice in there to tie in the lemon with the strawberry. But again, totally optional, just extra stuff that I wanted to make this look really pretty. This is what the cheesecake should look like. I baked it for 30 minutes and it's still a little bit jiggly in the middle. I turned off the oven, propped the door open with a wooden spoon, and set a timer for 10 minutes. Now after that comes out of the oven, it has to cool completely, so about probably an hour at room temperature, and then we gotta throw it into the refrigerator to set completely for at least an hour, if not a little bit longer, and then we get to decorate and eat it. Okay, so it has been a couple of hours. It was so hard to wait for that to cool at room temperature for an hour or more and then put it in the refrigerator and let it chill until it was refrigerator temperature. I made some keto whipped cream to put on top of this also. I just flavored it with a little bit of vanilla stevia and a little bit of a powdered monkfruit sweetener. I'm using it to basically mark my 16 slices that I'm going to be doing. Time to grab the cheesecake. Okay. Another note about this cheesecake is those cookies had tons of butter in them, so I should have even used less melted butter than I did. So I put down in the recipe in my blog to even only use like 4 tablespoons of butter if you're using like a really buttery cookie, because I had butter pooled all around the edge and it was like leaking out because there was so much butter. Should taste delicious though. We need an offset spatula, a big thing of hot water. This will just make sure it is the prettiest as it comes out. So you just take your offset spatula and run it around the edge, trying not to disturb it too much. Carefully bring it up to rewarm it. Go around a couple times just to make sure it is all released. Moment of truth, we gotta unspring form it. We got a little bit of crust stuck right there, but not too bad. It makes a pretty thick crust. As you can see, it is very buttery. I don't know if it'll pick it up on camera, but you can see the butter that's solidified in this. So to do 16 slices, you do one there, and then one across from it, then one on this side. Okay, so each of these sections into 3. Okay, now we can put the lemons on. Oh, and I forgot to mention, so after you have these done, you have a simple syrup left, and mine is super thick. You can use that to sweeten your keto cocktails with. So if you're doing like a vodka soda, you can put a splash of that in with your vodka before you put everything else in and stir it up real good, and that's your sweetener. The monk fruit will crystallize, the allulose does not. So keep that in mind. Okay, there is our delicious lemon cheesecake. Now to slice into this guy. Probably still could have sat longer in the fridge, but is deliciously silky smooth. And look at that crust. Then we need our strawberry sauce. So these have been macerating overnight, so they're nice and juicy. Time to try it. This looks amazing. Try some without the strawberry first. Oh man. That is silky smooth and delicious. That crust is delicious and buttery. Oh man. Try some with the strawberry. It looks good. Ah, that is delicious. Creamy, sweet, lemony. It's not super sweet, so my boyfriend is going to love this. And with the strawberries weren't super sweet, so I did have to add a little bit more sweetener to the maceration, but it goes perfectly with this cheesecake. Now I'm satisfied. We have that one at work, and I wanted to eat it, but I didn't. I made my own keto version. It's the perfect spring dessert. I hope you guys enjoy this recipe. If you do, please hit the subscribe button down there. Let me know what your favorite spring dessert is, and maybe I'll figure out a keto version of that. And as always, I'll be back with many more keto dessert recipes. Bye guys.